Confederating Kostalten by turn 5 with Tzarina Katarin. One of the prerequisites that you need to do before you even start doing this is loading up a campaign, recruit a couple of level 1 lords, save these lords so you can later use them in this guide. Load up a brand new Tzarina's campaign, attack your first enemy, and I would recommend fighting it manually because on the harder difficulties you're going to get a bad result and too many casualties, and that's going to reduce your faction strength, which we will need it to be as high as possible. So let's fight this battle manually. Put your forces in one of the borders of the battlefield, with your 2 archers at the back, your 3 gunners at the front, and then Tzarina Katarin in front of them. Use your 2 fast units to distract enemies' 2 fast units. Preferably use the snow leopard to distract the trolls. You can hide your lancers, and the marauder horsemen of enemy most likely are going to attack the main body of your force. Your archers and gunners can easily kill them. Use Tzarina Katarin to reduce their speed even further. If enemies had any isolated units, you can attack them with your lancers, especially if they are the missile units, because the lancers can easily wipe them out. Make sure to use the ice sheet and your other damaging spell to reduce the speed of the enemies and also damage them at the same time. Make sure to keep running away from the trolls with your ice leopard, because if they catch up to him, he's probably going to be dead. Your gunners and archers can easily kill the enemy infantry units, and then chase after those fleeing units with your lancers and wipe them out so you can army loss the enemy even faster. As long as you kill or rout most of their other units, the Norscan ice trolls are not going to last long in melee combat, and you can get them routed before they can do that much damage. First battle done and dusted with minimal casualties. If by an off chance you have taken some casualties, you can always take the replenishment option. To replenish your ranks, I would recommend getting the sacrifice captives for the additional devotion, because you're not going to be fighting that much chaos in the beginning of the campaign, so it's nice to rack up the additional devotion. For your motherland invocation, you would want to pick Ursun, because every settlement that you capture is going to give you 5 additional supporters, and it also gives the bitterness winter, which is going to reduce the speed of enemies and help you out in the battlefield. Take the route marcher, because without it you cannot actually get to the settlement, but after getting it you're just going to be able to get to the settlement. Attack the settlement. You have to fight this battle manually, because on the hardest difficulties you're going to get medium casualties, which is something you would want to avoid. This time we're going to corner camp because it has given us a really nice corner. Put the archers at the back and put the 3 gunners in front of them and Tzarina Katarin in front of those guys, and use your 2 fast units to distract the enemy forces. You can easily bait their marauder horsemen early on into attacking your infantry, and you can easily crush them with their missile attacks. And you would want to use divide and conquer. After killing the marauder horsemen, try to divide their forces and get them to chase after your faster units, so the main portion of your force, which are the missile units, can put all of their firepower on only portion of their force and absolutely annihilate them before they can even get close to you. And be sure to utilize Tzarina Katarin's spells to reduce their speed and also damage them at the same time. Don't forget isolating enemy forces and attacking them with your 2 fast units from 2 different sides to absolutely crush their morale and make them run away. Also use the bitterness of winter to reduce their speed and also give them some additional vigor. In order flawless decisive victory with 0 casualties, just occupy the settlement, level up Tzarina Katarin. I would recommend putting some points into her magic, which is going to be extremely useful in the following battles and the early portion of the campaign. Build the barracks in Vitevo. We want to sell it on later on, so it is important to increase the value of it for next turn. Recruit a lord in Vitevo and recruit 2 Kossars on him, and recruit another lord on Kislev and recruit 2 Kossars on him as well. On Kislev, build a trade and also guild district for the money and the growth and also the construction cost reduction. For Kislev's commandment, put it on relief columns, because we would want to recruit 2 additional units for cheaper next turn. For your technology, I would like to go with cold storage for the additional growth and also the replenishment rate, but you can also go with the hooked axe blades for the additional 4 melee defense for your hybrid infantry plus the Kislev warriors. The Tzarina Enclave starts at war with Clan Molder, and they would lose their minor settlement to them every single time at the end of turn 1. You would want to give them Zavastra, get money and any treaties you can get out of them with it, which is going to be defensive alliance, trade agreement and military access. That's going to help you out big times in improving your relationship with them, so you can eventually confederate them at the start of turn 3. Our relationship is 10 at the moment and is going up to 100. It's going to change by 1/4 of the difference by the beginning of next turn, which is going to be somewhere between 20 and 30 change, which is going to get you to anywhere between 35 and 40 relationship next turn. You shouldn't get any treaties with the minor factions around you except the Ropsman clan and Tzarina Enclave, because you would need to pull off some shenanigans with all of these minor factions. But if you could get any treaties with the Masters of Innovation or Reich clan, you can definitely go for it, since you're not pulling off any shenanigans on these guys. You would want to have the lord you recruited in Vitevo standing outside on the right side of the city. Bersenlings have an army in the south side of Fort Chakova. They can either go sit inside the city, or they would come right outside of the city on the left side of it, but they're gonna be reinforced by the garrison from the city, which is exactly what you won't want to happen. So in order to ensure this to happen, if you're playing on the Iron Man mode, you can put the end turn passing time to the slowest. By the time they moved, if they didn't actually come outside of the city before the end turn ends, reload put it back to the autosave, which is going to be the end turn of turn 1. Keep redoing this until they go outside of the city, because if they're inside the city, you're kind of screwed because the battle is going to be extremely hard, but it's still winnable with more casualties. We have captured the city of Vitevo, and that's going to give us 5 supporters. In order to get supporters, you actually have to capture settlements, so trading settlements doesn't actually work. At the start of turn 2, the army of the Bersenlings is standing on a reinforcement zone of Fort Jakova, which means the settlement garrison is going to support them if you attack them. Your second and third army is going to come near that army, then you initiate the attack with Tzarina Katarin. For this battle, on the hardest difficulties, I would recommend fighting it manually because you would want to have minimal casualties and keep your faction strength as high as possible. One of the good things is they're not going to have their whole force coming at you at once, because their settlements garrison is going to come in as reinforcements 1 to 2 minutes later than the rest of the forces. You're moving all your forces back to the corner, so the enemy is only going to come at you at your front, and they're not going to have any chance of flanking you. Use your 2 fast forces to first of all bait their faster units so they can come to your infantry, you can kill them earlier. Try to kill any of their isolated units, especially if they're missile units. With your fast units, don't forget to utilize Tzarina Katarin's spells to reduce their speed and damage them at the same time, and the damaging spell also reduces their speed. As soon as your reinforcements are in, try to reform your forces. Always keep the archers at the back and the gunners at the front. You can utilize your second and third lord to catch the attention of enemies and keep them away from your main force, so you give them more time to actually shoot at these guys. Your snow leopard is really good at knocking the enemy lords down, giving you more time to recharge your speed reduction spells so you can cast it on them again and reduce your speed even further. Use your winged lancers to chase after the enemy units that are running away. They're gonna have 2 more other horsemen in this battle. You can either get them to come into your hybrid infantry units so they can deal with them, or reduce their speed with Tzarina and your bitterness of winter, and then chase after them with your fast units and get them killed super easily. Chasing after enemy units that are broken with your faster units is going to reduce the balance of power of the enemies big times, which is going to help you out in army lossing them earlier, so you're gonna avoid taking even more casualties. Don't forget to use your faster units to just distract the enemies from the main force, so your main force has to deal with less units at a time, so they can inflict more damage to those guys and break them earlier. Use your spells wisely, and you have this battle in your back with minimal casualties again. Another great victory with 0 casualties. And if you've taken any casualties, again, you can always take the replenishment option to replenish your ranks. Level up Tzarina in her magic, and also level up your other lords, giving them route marcher for additional movement. Bring in your second and third army in the zone of influence of the city and attack the city with Tzarina Katarin. You can get an easy auto resolve out of this, but you can also fight the battle manually to take minimal casualties again. I'm just gonna auto resolve this though. We took 68 casualties, which is not even that bad, but that definitely reduced their faction strength by a little bit, which is not going to be that big of a deal, to be honest, since we fought the last battles manually. Force march your second and third army toward Igorov, but make sure they're still inside your territory so they take some additional replenishment if they need it. And now Druzhina's enclave relationship toward us is around 32, but they are still not willing to confederate. You can easily confederate these guys as long as you get to above 50 relationship with them at the beginning of next turn, because you get a boost to confederation. And there's always going to be a higher chance if they lose their armies and their enemies are also being a lot more stronger than them, which is actually the case here because Clan Molder has a lot of forces. In order to boost their chances of confederating Druzhina Enclave by next turn, we should give them another city in Vitevo and also get a military alliance plus whatever money we can get out of them. Recruit a lord in Kislev and recruit 4 Kossars on him. When you enter into, there's going to be 2 outcomes that is going to happen. Either Clan Molder comes and attacks Ostrak and captures it, or they wouldn't. If they actually capture Ostrak, you have to restart this whole process, but if they don't capture Ostrak, which sometimes they don't, you could actually confederate Druzhina Enclave at the beginning of turn 3. So now you should confederate Druzhina Enclave, and now we're gonna inherit all of their settlements plus their 1 lord in the settlement of Fort Ostrak, and then we're gonna trade Fort Ostrak for the settlement of Plesk and get all the treaties you can get out of them, military alliance and military access, and I also would squeeze them out of their money because they would give us that trade agreement later on when we trade more settlements with them. Build up a barracks in the settlement of Plesk to increase the value of it for later trading. Bring all your 3 forces to attack Igorov. You can also auto resolve this one, it doesn't really matter, or fight the battle manually, it's your choice. In order to save some time, I would just auto resolve this one. Give the city of Zavastra plus trade agreement Robson clan and manually squeeze 2k out of them. Trade Jakovo for Volksgrad plus whatever money you can get out of them. Now trade Volksgrad with Zavastra. Since Volksgrad is a major settlement, it's going to have higher value than Zavastra, even though both of them do have military barracks. And then also squeeze 2k out of the Robson clan manually. At the end, give them Zavastra for 2k, and after doing all of this trading, our relationship with Robson clan is going from -65 to 244. The relationship change over the end turn is going to be 1/4 of the difference between what the relationship is right now and what relationship is moving toward. Our relationship next turn is approximately going to change by 75. Build a military barracks in Igorov, give away all of your forces outside of the city into the army that is sitting inside the city to take the maximum amount of replenishment, and move your 2 other lords, which is going to be Tzarina Katarin and your secondary army, down south toward Jakova and Vitevo. Move the army that is residing in Kislev towards Zavastra and recruit another lord on Kislev. You're not going to do any recruitment on him over the end turn. Level up all your characters if they have gained any levels, and then end the turn. Start off turn 4 and our relationship with Ropson clan is already at 9 and is moving toward 235. In order to make sure we're 100% going to confederate them, we need our relationship to be at least 150 by the start of next turn, which means we need to drastically increase the amount of relationship that our relationship is moving toward from 235 to a really higher number. What you want to do now is start trading your settlements of Igorov and Plesk for Vitevo and Zavastra, and then keep trading Zavastra and Vitevo for Plesk and Igorov, and just keep doing this. In your game, the settlements might have different values, but as long as all of them are tier 1 with a military barracks in them, you should be able to find a pattern to trade between these settlements indefinitely. You need to keep trading between these 4 settlements until you get your relationship to move toward at least 700, because 1/4 of 700 is going to be more than 141 additional relationship that you will need at the beginning of next turn to be able to get the relationship to at least 150, which will give us the highest chance of confederating Ropson clan. Move Tzarina toward Jakova and move your other lord toward Vitevo. The lord in Igorov is gonna stay in Igorov. Move the lord you recruited in Kislev toward Prague. Recruit a lord in Plesk. At the moment, the chance of us confederating them is super low. By the beginning of next turn, when our relationship is above 150, and Gormani tribe, which is the Ropson clan's enemy, usually has a lot of forces recruited by this point of the campaign, which is going to make the Ropson clan more likely to actually confederate with you guys at the start of turn 5. At this point of the campaign, we have gathered 15 supporters, which is not a lot. But by the end of next turn, we are actually going to get to 600 supporters. Most crucial turn of this guide, turn 5. Already, we have a relationship set at 300. The max relationship bonus you would get for Confederation or any other treaties is going to be above 150. So you only need to get to 150. You don't need to trade as many settlements as I did. As you can see, the Ropson clan is willing to confederate, and that's exactly what we will do. Confederate these guys, inherit all of their settlements, recruit a lord in Fort Jakova, and use Tzarina to colonize the settlement of Naganhof if it's raised to the ground. If it's not raised to the ground, then don't recruit a lord in Jakova and just keep Tzarina in Jakova. By colonizing Naganhof, we got to 20 supporters. After confederating the Ropson clan, you should have 1 lord standing on every single settlement except the settlement of Kislev, which is our capital. Now, this is going to be the start of this trick that I'm going to show you guys. You're going to choose a minor faction. I'm going to go with Ostermark, and you have to start giving away your settlements to them one by one until they have all of your settlements except your capital, because that is non-tradable. And in order to make some additional profit, after you give away 1 settlement, you can trade your settlements back and forth with them until you sell them every single one of your settlements, and you're gonna end up with a huge profit. Just make sure whenever you're trading your settlements with a minor faction, never ever get any treaties with them, because we would want to declare war at these guys after we're done giving away all of our settlements to them. As long as the factions we're doing this are not Kislevites, the settlements we give away to them are not gonna retain any of their garrisons for at least that turn, which means we can walk over these settlements and occupy them without any resistance. After you're done giving them all of your settlements except your capital, because you cannot trade that away, they are gonna absolutely love you because you have given them so many settlements as gifts. Each settlement is going to increase their relationship with you by 40, but that does have a downside. Every faction that don't like them is going to absolutely hate your guts because we have given away so many gifts to the faction of Ostermark. After we're done giving away all of our settlements to Ostermark, we're gonna declare war at them and just walk inside the cities and capture them. Every time we capture a city, no matter if they have a garrison or not, we're gonna get 5 supporters because of Invocation of Urson. After getting all of our settlements back, we're gonna peace out with the faction of Ostermark, and they're still gonna absolutely love us because of all the gifts we've given them. So with 1 faction, we increase our supporters from 20 to 65. That's a 45 increase of supporters with 1 faction, and we're gonna continue doing the same shenanigan with some other minor factions. Next faction is going to be Ostland. We would want to trade Zavastra for Castle von Ruken, and then recruit a lord in Castle von Ruken, trade Castle von Ruken back to Ostland. Ostland might have an army inside the settlement at the beginning of turn 5. Whenever you trade a settlement with another faction, their army is always going to step outside of the city. And as long as you attack Castle von Ruken this turn, the army that is outside of the city is not going to reinforce the city, so you can just capture the city. You start giving away all of your settlements exactly like you did with Ostermark, and then declare war at them and take all of those settlements back, and then just peace out with them. Now, next faction we want to do this with is going to be Talabak clan. You would want to give away Castle von Ruken and then manually get the maximum amount of money you can get out of them, and then trade Castle von Ruken for Zavastra and get maximum amount of money manually. After that, you would want to trade Jakova with Krugenheim plus whatever money you can get out of them, and then recruit a lord in Krugenheim Krugenheim. Now trade Krugenheim for Kemperbad, manually squeeze 2k out of them, but the thing you would notice here, you cannot actually recruit a lord in Kemperbad because Kemperbad is in the same province as Krugenheim, and in each province every turn you can only recruit one lord, and it doesn't really matter that you have lost Krugenheim to Talabakland. You still have recruited one lord in this province. Trade away all of your settlements except Kemperbad because you cannot get Kemperbad back since you don't have any lords on it. Declare war at Talabakland and take all of those settlements back for those juicy supporters. Peace out with Talabakland, and then we will move on to Serland. Give away Krugenheim to them, plus whatever money you can get out of them, and then Zivastor for Flensburg for max amount of money, and then we will recruit a lord in Flensburg and then start trading and selling all of our settlements to Sterland except Kemperbad because we don't actually have a lord on it to get it back. And then declare war at Sterland, get all of these settlements back, and then peace out with them. So far we have gotten to 230 supporters, and it is still turn 5, and we can do this with even more factions. Next faction we would want to do this with is going to be Nordland. Trade away Zivastor for Norden, get maximum money. Same situation applies here. In Norden you actually cannot recruit a lord because you have already recruited in another settlement in this province this turn, which is going to limit your lord recruitment in the settlement of Norden. So keep trading your settlements away, make whatever money you want to make. You don't need to make the money, but if you want to have an easier campaign, I would recommend actually trading your settlements with them for the maximum amount of profit. Make sure to not give away any settlement that doesn't actually have a lord on it so you can get it back later on. And after giving away all of your settlements, declare war at them, take all your settlements back, and then peace out with them again. Next faction is going to be Averland. In this campaign they have got a Needling, so trade away Needling. Again, we cannot recruit a lord in it because we have already recruited a lord in the same province in Flensburg. So make sure whenever you're trading your settlements away, don't give away Needling with those other settlements that don't have a lord on it. Trade away your settlement, make a lot of money, and then declare war at them, get all of the settlements back, and then peace out with Averland. Next faction we would want to do this with is going to be Visenland. Just note that we're not going to get any new settlements from them, and we're just going to give away the settlements we already have to them and then take them back and peace out with them afterwards. And after piecing out, you can get some additional treaties because they're one of the major factions that are going to play an important role in the empire as your ally. So now you should have somewhere around 410 supporters, which means you need around 190 more supporters, which we can achieve by doing this couple more times. The next victim is going to be the Grumani tribe. From them we would want to get the Temple of Heimko and Novchozi, and then recruit one lord in each one of these settlements, and then give them away alongside with every other settlement that actually has a lord on it, and then declare war at them and take all of the settlements back. Just make sure when you're attacking Grumani tribe, if you have gotten a military alliance with Visenland and Noln, do not get them involved because there is a chance they might actually break their alliance with you. By getting the Temple of Heimko from Grumani tribe, you will discover the Urson Revivalists, and as soon as you discover them, you should get whatever treaties you can get from them as early as possible so you can confederate them as early as possible, since Boris Ursus is a busted character for Kislev. After doing Grumani tribe, you should have somewhere around 480 supporters. Now it's time for Dr. Festus. There's two downsides to doing this with Festus. He's a force of chaos, and every order faction around you is going to hate you for giving him any settlements. So the more settlements you give him, the more you're going to screw your relations with all of the order factions around you. And the second thing being, the warriors of chaos don't actually have any equivalent buildings of yours in any of their settlements that are not dark fortresses, since any settlement other than dark fortresses are going to be outposts for them, and they're not going to have any equivalent buildings to your military or economic buildings in these outposts. So all of the buildings of the settlements you're going to give to them are going to get absolutely destroyed, which will mean those settlements will lose their value when you're trading them away, so you're going to potentially make a lot less money. Same deal applies to Drychop. Any settlement other than the magical forest is going to be outposts. Never do this for Templehof because that's going to massively piss off Katarin, and you would never want a dwarf to begrudge you since they're never getting over that. Trade Kapelberg for Hergig and pay whatever money they demand. Don't worry, you're going to make this money back. Give away Castle von Ruken, get some money out of them, recruit a lord in Hergig, trade Hergig for Kapelberg and squeeze them out of all the money they have. Now declare war at Festus and take Hergig and Castle von Ruken off of him. You do not have the option to peace out with him, unfortunately. You had to fight him at some point into this campaign, so it's no biggie. You can just sell Hergig to someone else at a later point. Next faction is going to be the Middenland. Trade Hergig for Middenstag and give them whatever money they demand. You're gonna later make this money back, so don't worry about it. Recruit a lord in Middenstag, trade Kapelberg and Katerberg, plus whatever money you can squeeze out of them, and from there you just keep doing the same thing. Just make sure you do not give any settlement away that doesn't actually have an army on top of it. After trading all of the eligible settlements, declare war, take your settlements back, and then peace out. At this point you should be somewhere around 560 supporters, which means we need to do this one more time, and the last faction we're going to do this with is going to be Hawkland. Just start giving away your settlements, and after taking back 8 of your settlements from them, you should get to 600 supporters, which is gonna give you this dilemma, which allows you to either confederate Kostaltin, be his military ally, or just declare war at him. We would want to press confederation and and then we're gonna inherit all of his lands and all of his forces, plus Kostaltan himself. Just make sure you delete all the unnecessary forces and armies so you somewhat fix your economy. Don't worry, if you have been taking money out of these factions that you're doing this trick with, you should end up somewhere between 200,000 to 300,000 coins, which is gonna set you up for the whole campaign. I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, don't forget to like this video and also let me know what you guys think in the comments down below, as that really helps out the channel. We're trying to get to 5,000 subscribers by the end of March, so join the legion of PZA Total War. If you want to learn the top 5 critical mistakes you need to avoid to master Warhammer 3, you can click on this video. This is PZA Total War, and I will see you guys later.